Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the round three finals of the Galarius Might League Global Division. I am Laffy. Joined with me is Miranda. Say hello.
Hello.
How are you feeling about this set? This is probably what's going to be a pretty close set for Kuman and Zuman.
Yeah, definitely. Hakai been looking a lot better than what they were before with the role swaps they've had recently, and I think it could definitely be a really good set. I think a lot of it will be based around how the early goes. Obviously, going to affect mentals a bit going into the late game, and I think both teams have a good team fight presence going into the late game as well. So really, really depends on if someone can get momentum going on early in the game.
They will all
We've already
obey their
gone rushed through
goddess.
the first wave of bans. Absolutely nothing wrong with any of the bans I see coming from either side. And Hakai opting to opt for an Ishtar first pick, something that's very highly valuable. And Kuman and Zuman willing to take opportunity of that with the Kernanos that locked in that very, very strong pick. And currently hovering the Vulcan, but I'm assuming that's meant to be locked in. Hakai looking to now also hover Ganesh. I
Yeah.
have no issues really with either. I mean, Cardano's is a really strong pick, especially
This is
against the Ishtar.
exciting.
Scylla has also now been locked in. That's we're seeing a lot of strong picks coming out both from both sides already. That's certainly
Yeah,
interesting.
some really nice picks going out so far. I think I would have held off on the Ganesh. I think I'd like to see the support maybe come out a bit later after you know what the jungle is. But Ganesh always has a lot in his kit to sort of peel. So not too worried about that. Obviously on Kuman and Zuman side, Vulcan
My
really strong
blood
pick
runs
for
cold.
Kai who's in mid lane. Serenos just really strong ADC right now. Sobek,
Interestingly enough, the third pick for the Kuman and Zuman Sobek, something that's not really commonly picked, which is so we'll definitely
This
have
is
to
a
see that
bloody
once.
business.
As we saw the
Shall we
second
get
phase
to it
bans
then?
as well, Loki target bag coming out. We know Lina has been very, very prominent on the Loki in the jungle, so makes sense to take it away from her. Also opting to take Rinija, Hakai taking away Ravenum tier. Tier is not something that really sped plays, so I'm interested in that, but
I'm coming for
moving
you,
swiftly
laddie!
onto the other picks as we see Sasano being picked from Kuman and Zuman, something that Omega really does like to play, so that's not surprising. We see Kukulon, which has been locked in already, Phaser, and Combat's currently being hovered for Lina. These are, I'm still really interested in that Sobek, though.
yeah, it was a weird one for me as well. Obviously, not very quote unquote meta port right now. Obviously his plucks can be really good, but I think when you're against a Scylla who can just pre-plant that dash,
Friends, to
it
me,
will get less
I have
value.
a plan.
Since she's not too worried about that one. Ishtar sort of similar situation. I think she's relatively safe and not really ever going to be the target of that pluck. So I guess he's looking to either pluck the swim mats before he gets the Fear No Evils off in like the 5 man, or maybe even just get these picks onto Ganesh or Kakulin. But it could be
Even
really big, but I think it's
even then, Sobek kind of even struggles into Ganesh, or even the pluck can connect. You
yeah
can very well
it's
easily be caught up by the Ohm, and then that's it. You've lost your Charge Prey, you've lost your potential NECC setup. You can't knock him up with Tail Whip.
yeah I'm trying
It's
to
a
think
little
of
struggle.
good things for this so but there's not much to really say. I'm
I
fairly sure
respect them
Humbats
for
might be
trying
even.
it.
Yeah,
I
I think
respect them
Humbats
for
might be
trying it.
immune in this too as well. So
The last pick coming up from Kuman and Zuman is the Horus, and swiftly we've already seen both drafts. Both drafts really have a lot of strong sides on one end, and then they have their weak points, and it's kind of the same in both. But I think Hakai just have a lot more going for their comp. They have a lot more synergy. They have a lot more. As much as I know the Vulcan is going to go really strong, and especially with Sano paired with him or Kernanos. But Toon and Zuman don't really have like set. They have a good front line, but they kind of struggle with like they set up like you've got one kit which is mainly relying on Horus, and then you also just have just the charge prey from Sobek. But
it's I think with Hakai's draft, what they should be looking to do is getting bees on this Keranos or Vulcan, and then looking to do an objective while this Humat ult is up. Because if they take that team fight while one of these backliners don't have beads, then that's just a free kill for them realistically. So I think that's how they should be looking to play this. I think Kuman and Zoomin. I don't see much synergy in their draft. I think they're sort of just looking for a nice Sobek pluck, and then they just kill whoever comes in, and then take the fight that comes after. Susano are going to be really good on these ganks, just able to follow the Scylla even after the dash. So I think it'll be interesting to see. I think Hakai more team fight, and Kumin Sumin probably just trying to look like get that first pick and then take the fight after.
Pretty swiftly moving into the game, as we can see, looking at the side of builds, nothing that really screams anything out of the ordinary. I mean, we're seeing Benevolence from Ganesha, which is always a great starter. Humbat's opting for a Blink instead of a Beads, which make it be a little risky, but I think it will probably more likely favor Pain in favor. Zano choosing for the safer option with Beads as well. Yeah, even
I think
even then, the Cullen has also opted for Beads as well, understanding that, well, if you get the charge spray, it is pretty dangerous, but I think Cullen can very well opt for teleport if he felt like it.
I think with the beast choice, the blink choice on the Hamas, it's just it allows that engage with the fear no evil, just blink instantly put it down rather than having to use jump to get in there. So on one, I think it just makes Hamas a bit safer. Since he's able to just jump out if things go a bit wrong rather than getting in there with no way out.
We are seeing just usual farming, but as we should see now, Aza now currently transforming to Cullen, who will take the advantage of Berserk and will have the pressure against Fed. Already seeing vision shards coming out on the map, and now both junglers currently rotating onto the solo lane, but nothing to be looked at the moment. Fed's still level 1. They are aware of Omega's presence, but Lina will just be able to get that totem. Nothing that Omega can do, and they will walk away. And business is as is. We're farming in duo lane. We're now just about to get Scepter, which is going to be even stronger pressure for them in the duo lane. And mid lane, just kind of going to be chilling out a little bit.
Yeah, I think I would prefer to see Omega sort of just acknowledge that there is a Kakana on the other side and that you're most likely not going to have solo pressure. And instead of going over to sort of just watch the totem, I think you should have just gone to mid and look at oracles.
We are seeing a little bit of dual lane aggression here as Mike did get hit by a charge spray. Does not opt for beating this, and that means Tito will be forced to use a shell, but Mike will get out alive. But that puts a lot of pressure
did use beads to chase that one down as well,
so a little bit of a double edge. I mean, you get an ADC relic for a support relic. And now you've traded favor, unfortunately, pressure in favor of Kuman. Now having to play around charge play, being very careful. But you know, you don't have to. As much as Ishtar's pressure is always how she is. Eventually, if that pressure is not leaned back towards Ishtar, that Kernos will eventually just go.
I mean,
it'll hurt.
When the Sobek's plucking them in, it's just gonna add the damage on because Albi's gonna be able to get that passive going when they're in melee range.
Unfortunately, a mischarge bug there did unfortunately happen. That will keep Mike just chilling a little bit. But now we are seeing just a little bit of rotation. Lina potentially heading, as we do see, as they do have pressure. We're doing go onto Albi, but not much too much. Storm Arrow being used just to keep them a little bit away. Lina, just because they didn't go to make that purple, will back. Actually, not opting to secure their purple for Hakai. And that's Tito in an awkward spot as now Yeet absolutely wrestled to them. Albi just hit level 4. The charge spray does connect. There's the Bramble Blast. Tito will be first blood towards Kuman and Zoomin. That is, you can't leave your team members behind. If you're opting to comms for clearing the purple for your team, you don't really want to stay in that wave, especially with the Sobek presence.
Yeah, it was a weird decision to just sort of stay there and continue clearing that wave while the other two members are doing purple. obviously he pays the price for it. But we did see that Susana rotation over, so obviously he missed out on that. I think third corner back. So
Here comes another charge break. Now we're seeing as well, just horn charge coming out. This Kumin and Zuman duo lane is just built for aggression. They just want to get in there. They want to get as much pressure as they can. They just want to prevent anything from happening at this point. Here comes another charge break to another Bramble Buck. Omi is used in response. Mike will be able to get out of the Wild Hunt, and that means that unfortunately, Kumin and Zuman do not land a second blood, but they are just continuing to steamroll that pressure, and it's only going to continue to get worse, unfortunately.
yeah, obviously supports are going to be rotating up this lane soon, so we'll see that 1v1 between the Ishtar and the Coronos, both opting for the Death's Toll build. So I think they'll both be going into crit. It'll be interesting to see how that one turns out. And then we'll be able to see this mid 3v3 as well.
Just falling a little bit low, still feeling the pressure that Capellan is bringing, who hasn't even mech yet, still currently on a tier 1 so could very well be close to a sovereignty at this point, as Golden Blade tier 2 has been bought by Baharis, has already opted to use his teleport. So as if that Capellan is still staying, still able to create pressure with just Bluestone and raw power alone through Berserk, it only emphasizes more on how much Sved is going to get lower and lower on HP, and until he will have to eventually be back in mid-wave. Well, this is Cullen chilling sat free, but actually has not opted for a sovereignty, instead going for a full Glad Shield first item. That's
Yeah, it's
you
an
don't
interesting decision.
you usually want a sovereignty first, because then you get the 40 proc, you get the HP 5 sustain, you're just kind of unkillable.
Yeah, I was going to say, once this guy gets the sovereignty online, it's just going to be he's safe in that lane, doesn't really need to worry about any ganks, because he probably just won't die. But I think the Glad Shield, you do get a bit more damage out, but you're still a bit more vulnerable in lane just because you don't have that sustain.
I'd understand it. It's only a little bit more extra gold. You get a lot more power than you could ever want, and you just get the pressure. But you do run the risk of the jungle until maybe you do eventually get sovereignty second item.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
are
you
kind of
probably
in a
are going
vulnerable state.
I was going to say, you probably are going to get that Glad Shield at one point. So I mean, if you have the gold for it, maybe you just wanted to jump now.
Yeah, and I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. It just leaves you a little bit more vulnerable. Of course, you're playing the Cullen, but if you have more power than you desire with Berserk, you can absolutely get away with just running a full Glad Shield, and you're going to be at least still doing 200 damage per ability with whatever it may be. But even with normal fear, you're still doing the damage. It's just, yeah, you're a little bit more vulnerable, but damage output can absolutely be surged either way. It's fine. You can walk away with... I guess you can kind of just interchange them second item however you feel. If you want to rush your Glad Shield, go for it, then get Sovereignty next. Fair enough.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, you see that Golden Blade coming out for the Horus. He's probably just looking to clear the waves and farm camps.
And also has opted for a tier 2 teleport upgrade at this point. Something that's sometimes seen, but not always seen.
I think he's sort of just understanding that he most likely won't have pressure in this lane. So like, if he needs the back, it's just a lot easier for him to do so. If he's got that cooldown on the teleport.
Oh, 30 seconds for teleport cooldown there. Quite a lot. Wildhook before that though, as Wildhook already used on Mike. Blaze of Retribution coming out. Here comes the beats, and now here's the Spiner. Hero Eagle coming out, and Albie, with no beats present, will unfortunately fall, as Mike just about gets the kill with the spread shot.
Yeah, I think Albie could have afforded to hold those beats there. The ult, I don't think was going to connect on the way back in. I might be wrong, but I think he could have held them a bit longer there. Obviously, he was looking to take that fight, was quite aware of Liner coming in, so he's just looking to continue the
pressure with this Kakullan, but, and this is where it comes in, the 150 seconds with that tier 2 teleport, as we were going to talk about Sped, will just be able to come back to the lane and full clear the wave with the Golden Blade. Pick up any item that he needed. He's already back in, he's chilling, he doesn't need to worry too much about the aggression.
Yeah, I think
the tier 2 teleport allows basically what he's able to do.
Yeah, I think my concern here is when it gets to the late game, who's going to have more impact in this fight. I feel like the good Cullen will just over this horse. Obviously, able to get really big knockups with his ult, and then just go into that berserk mode and just completely run the back line. But while this horse is probably going to get like a really big team fight ult in onto some Fire Giants or Cold Furies and just allow his team to take the other team by surprise.
Wild
I
Hunt
think
coming
it's a
out
lot
from
easier.
Albi does unfortunately not connect, and now Lina already acknowledging since Albi does not have any beats, will just be back in the duel lane, camping it. Here comes the Beetle Eagle, here comes the late blazing red cube. Bit overkill, but Albi will fall to Lina. Now Yi on the 98 is here in response. Mike opting getting a little bit lower, but will be able to use the jolt to escape. And this is now really heading towards Hakai. They're now currently
Yeah.
almost 2k in ahead. Currently, I think we're just sitting out just about 1k. It's
Yeah.
a really nice start for them, and especially in the duo lane, they're acknowledging that Albi's speeds are still down, so they can just continue to gank him over and over again, give the lead and the pressure back to Mike, so then he can do what he needs to do with his time.
I don't know what Aoi was thinking there. Like he was stood in his tower line, well in range of that Finno Evil to come out. Well, I was about to say I'm not sure why Line has come over here so early because her ult wasn't up, and then Aoi just sticks around for the ult to come back on cooldown and just dies for it. So it's not very heads up play from Aoi. So it's just going to allow this Ishar to get a bit more ahead in this lane, and obviously that's going to allow Hakai to look at some earlier gold furies and what they might have previously had.
Interestingly enough, we do see currently there is a Scorpion being taken, Greater Scorpion being taken. We haven't seen, well, we've seen Greater Scorpions be taken. They've been taken pretty frequently, which is good. Team members should usually opt to try and take Greater Scorpions when you can. You're offering gold to all of your members. You're offering experience. You're giving out those enhanced buffs, which can just make lane phase a lot stronger, such as enhanced damage from the red buff, the enhanced buffs and the purple buff. It does a lot, and it's great. And we do also see quite a lot of ward coverage for Doomin and Doomin, but not a lot where we're seeing in the ends of Hakai. Hakai have as far as I can see, only have 2 wards within mid, 1 very deep around red buff, and 1 on the enemy red buff, and 1 on the Pyromancer. Meanwhile, Kumin and Zoomin have a sentry and wards pretty much all centered around Gold Fury and Duo lane, with 1 also sitting in the mid right side. And speaking of another ward, there goes another one down for Hakai, and now removing the wards and interesting making a little bit of a rotation to mid, not unfortunately to do much.
I think they might have a look at this gold. Oh, I was going to say they might have a look at the gold theory considering he rotated mid, but looks like he's just going to rotate back to solo lane.
I think you just try to look for any poke where possible, I guess. I'm not really too certain on that, but now, interesting enough, as with each hero moving the results here, there are a lot of members present, but at the same time, a lot of people here comes the Wild Hunter, here comes the Team Eagle, beats up on Albi, Typhoon coming up from Zano, and lurking in the waters coming up from Sobek, but damage and poke everywhere. Charge Fairy has been used, but Omega is a little bit too scared to commit and will back out. And now, here comes Big Joe. Now, there goes the shell, and there's the I'm a Monster. Does not unfortunately connect, just a little bit short off the edge. And now Hakai is in position to be able to start this Gold Fury. Still, though, just a little bit low, so it doesn't seem like they want to commit to this, and they still think they will back out. Beck is on the rotation as well. Now, Omega wanted to continue with Wind Siphon, but does not connect, and Lino will get out. Things are now coming out across the board again against what Kumin and Zoomin are doing. And now Omega might be in a little bit of a tricky spot as here comes the Zero Mortal Pain from Aza. But the Soundless Leap does not connect. Instead, we'll be able to just shoot to him and give him a little bit of healing to keep him alive.
Yeah.
Even with everything that's been used, Hakai have still been able to pick up a kill, and that's still a lot to them. Still continuing their 1,000 gold lead. Even if they don't pull anything, if they aren't able to pull anything, they still have the horrors to worry about this. it still gives them a lot of pressure on the map. They don't get the gold fury. Neither teams get the gold fury, but they walk away with the kill. That continues the gold lead. It continues denying XP away from Ganene. So it's not a bad fight, but certainly something that could have gone an entirely different way had things played out differently.
Yeah. If the Chiefs had a bit more health there, I think, especially after Cullen forces out Omega on Susano, they definitely could have looked at a Gold Fury there, seeing as though Vulcan had no ult to steal it. I think Silla Crush would have been enough to secure it for the Hakai. So, I mean, their team fight is looking really good right now. So if I'm Hakai, I'm probably, as I'm looking at here, Miner is looking to gank, and I think this is what they should be doing. Looking to get something off of this Kronos and then looking to do this Gold
We
Fury.
are still aware that the Kronos did burn the beads in the last fight. Still does not have them for 30 seconds, so they could absolutely look to pressure something in the duo lane side and then start to look at Gold Fury, but Zoomin and Zoomin do have their ward present on Gold Fury, so they can make a counter rotation, especially with Sved using Through the Skies. They can definitely prevent the Gold Fury sneak from ever happening at the moment, so it's a little bit of a stalemate between two teams. You can look for a pick and you can look for the Gold Fury, but at the same time, the counter rotation and the secure is not really available.
Yeah, obviously we do see the solo rotating over. Looks like, yeah, he is rotating over. So we could see a fight for this Gold Fury now. CT drop back up, so it's just going to be even match day again. Let's see how the team fight goes. I think Humax could go really big with like a 3-man Piano Evil, and Big Joe getting a really nice crush off of it.
So, I mean, while we're just looking at this Gold Fury Soul, I have to pull something towards the build. Kukulkan has interestingly opted to not go for a sovereignty. Has gone straight for full mystical mail. Why? Why?
I don't know. I've played some in a while.
We're gonna have to hold that. As Fear No Evil will come out with a line that Albie, unfortunately, won't charge into a wall. Is forced to use beads in the ADF and will unfortunately fall. Bed arriving a little bit late to the action will just clear the way, but now they have that pick, and now Hakai they're fully positioned to be able to start pulling that Gold Fury, but they do have to be aware of who is present, and they do have that sentry ward on the Gold Fury, of which they aren't able to clear. Oracles are down, so neither play the vision. Here comes the Darn Pillars though, onto Sped. He will take a little damage and will be given the shout. I'm a monster, of course it hits, it's not connected, but a Typhoon in response will pick up Lina, but unfortunately, Fed will still fall, and the fight continues to sever a little bit. Taser trying to look at a Mega, but will fall a little bit low. We'll push these nades, so we'll use the Hakai to go. Still get pulled in by the charge threat. Now lurking in the waters. So back. Unfortunately, the wolf fall just before anything. Now here comes Zero Shaker out from Kai. Unfortunately, does not connect on Cheeto. Spray is already coming. Yep, it's already back up, and there it will go. Now Cheeto is unfortunately out of position, will fall. Now the Gold Fury goes towards Kumin and Zoom, and that was.
I think Silla can look to steal the 2 here, but obviously not quite in position to do so right now. Kumin and Zoom are quite low, so I think if Silla was around in the area, then it would have been able. I think you would have been able to just force them off. Just with the.
I'll stop speaking as Blades of Retribution coming out onto Albie, and we'll just delete Albie from the game. Farewell. You have no relics, so that's fair game. I was gonna comment on how that was a fight that was really started out favorable, completely favorable for Hakai, and then just completely turned and went in Kumin and Zuman's favor. And I think a lot of that was in that choke point around Gold Fury, using the Typhoon with the Susano to be able to catch out Hakai, who just seemed to be very focused on, oh yeah, we have the aggression, we have the opposition, we can just look for picks and continue to tear at the team. And Zoomin and Zoomin are just able to use multiple ults and catch them in a choke point where they're so bloodthirsty for kills that they just end up being their own downfall. And I think that's why they ended up really heavily winning that. And that's really unfortunate.
Yeah, I think the Vulcan turret also went quite big in that little choke point. Obviously, we saw the Cullen taking a lot of damage from that Vulcan as he tried to get out and eventually falling. Obviously, didn't really have many magical procs at the time, but that turret was doing a lot of work.
So, coming back to that mystical mail, what I'm not really sure why you would want that over sovereignty. I understand that mystical mail got up. It got a little bit of increase in prop, but otherwise, nothing really much has changed to the item. Nothing has been changed about its passive. Passive is still kind of really weak. Why would you not just opt for the cheaper option, which is sovereignty, and keep health sustain? Why would you go for something like mystical?
I suppose with the sovereignty, it's more for the laning phase, and at the point he got to getting this mystical mail, sort of he was already coming out of the laning phase, so he didn't really need that sustain as much. Obviously, mystical mail does work really well for Cullen, and that I guess that's the reason he'd get it. It's just passive damage and just gonna assist him a bit more. That's the only reason I can see for it anyway.
Now, the next fight for both teams, standing around, is currently this Pyromancer. Already being started by Hakai, but I'm not really sure if that's going to be Dark Pillars coming out in the back, and it's Link, Fear No Evil coming out from line, and still get a piece of Omega. The Infinity currently trapped in Dark Pillars, but Typhoon used onto Lino will get out. Darming plays the Retribution, unfortunately did not connect, and neither did the I'm a Monster. All members of Doom and not really looking healthy aside from Sped and Kai. But, well, as we're going to have to hold out to the skies, currently solo being used by Sped, who will be chased off the line out here, but and Rhino. Vulcan turret?
No way. I don't know. That's the only thing I could.
I'm actually really confused by the kill. The only way that kill went to the Kai is if that was a Vulcan turret shot.
I need to look at the replay afterwards. But yeah, I'm not sure how Kai managed to get that kill. I saw the kill happen, and then I looked back, and they were all still alive in the mid tower, and I was wondering who died. It was Lina, and Lina was nowhere near.
Can Horasol take Vulcan turret with him? Because he might have just actually taken the Vulcan turret with him.
I mean, that's the only way I could see how that happens.
If he transported the turret with him to kill Lina, that is the most 500 IQ thing I think I've ever seen in the history of GSL. I have no words for that.
Certainly a play.
That's why Sped's UD, man. That's like if no one would make a play like using To the Skies to take a Vulcan turret to kill someone. That's only something a UD player would do, honestly.
Honestly, yeah. This is why Sped's number one server.
You can't convince me otherwise. That's my current path there. Now, interestingly, we are seeing, weirdly enough, we do see a little bit of fair regression on Duo side. As next objective now currently being Fury. Very good objective to not land the bomb as you want to get. Now we do see a try to spray on the Typhoon, doing a little bit focus. Typhoon unfortunately not going the way of that Omega had wanted, and will be picked up with the Fear No Evil as well. Wild Hunt also being unfortunately misconstrued. Might getting a little bit of healing with the meditation, and now To the Skies being used to take him away from the enemy team. Once again, it's just currently swinging in Hakai's favor. Unfortunately, because Omega is being feared by Fear No Evil, that means he can't control the direction that Typhoon should be going. It would be going towards Mike, so that is just, yeah, that's...
Yeah, really nice counter engage from Hakai there. Full ultimates used on both sides. Obviously, you have the lurking in the waters left for people doing while your Island Monster for Hakai able to do a lot of damage if someone gets picked out here.
Now, interestingly enough, at this point, the Oni Fury has respawned, but Omega has also now just respawned for their side. And interestingly, we have not seen an Oni Fury being pushed by Hakai here, despite having the opposition advantage. And now they're just willingly giving up their pressure, and now Kumin and Zumin are starting that Gold Fury, Oni Fury up. I'm not really sure why Hakai didn't go for it in the first place. Now they can give the advantage to Kumin and Zumin. Charge Spray coming out. Will be forced to use the beads there. Now that means that Big Joe has to play very carefully. So does come back on the left. Here it comes. Here comes the Pillar Dharma Killer, but unfortunately do not get the goal Fury. Omega just blinked in on the back. Fear no evil used by Lana, but Omega will just kill her in time. And we even saw a Spear of Mortal Pain coming out from Aether on the back line. He's just too far away from his team and will be picked off. Here comes the Kudos guys. Here comes the Earthshaker. Good agent from Big Joe. Will be crippled by the Bramble Blast. Unfortunately, does not have the escape. And that will be a team wipe for Kumin and Zuman. They strut off, take away farm, and they are very much going to head towards the Fire Giant.
Yeah, definitely. It was really nice for them. Hakai just need to find a way to deal with this Sobek, because Sobek's just been allowed to sit in front of support, ADC, and Belena, and just be threatening enough that they won't step up. Because he can just pull them into pride. And I think Ganesh just needs to be sat in front of him, owning him, and then these backliners just need to put him down, really, because he shouldn't be there. Like, no chance. He should just be allowed to stand in front of what is essentially your whole team's damage, and the guy appealing for him, and the one who's like moving all back is the enemy team support. Like, that's not a position you want to be in.
I think what Hakai needs to do is that if they do take a block from the Undername, that's Sobek, aside from looking in the waters, that's Sobek's only movement ability gone for a certain period of time. I mean, I know he's currently got Spirit Robe and Pridwen, that means he has 30% CER. So you're looking about roughly 7-ish seconds for a charge spray. That's the 7-second window that if he's just zoning by himself against the whole of Hakai and Cheeto's there, be using Ohm, that's a lot of time for them to just blow up a Sobek. I mean, you have a Scylla, you have Ishtar. Yeah, Scylla doesn't have a lot of her damage until late game, but she's level 18. She can definitely output a lot of damage already at this point, and especially with double stacking and having those double stacks online, especially with a poly, blow up the Sobek. He's currently set at a little quite firm. I mean, he's set at around roughly 200 degrees south. You could definitely very well at this stage blow him up, and especially if he's zoning by himself, you can blow him up. You can take him out of the fight, and that's just an opposition advantage for Hakai. At that point, they can push it up and they can contest against Kumin and Zuman, because Kumin and Zuman have already lost their one of their frontliners. Instead, as much as he is able to, he's doing well on the Horus at the moment. It is a lot more difficult for him to be able to engage a fight for Kumin and Zuman versus what Sobek can do at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think this Ganesh just needs to sit in front of him and press his own, and then just these backliners put some damage into him. If he's dashing out, then that's really value for you.
Would come out from Kai, tried to use off mic, but did not unfortunately connect. Ganesh coming out opting for defensive Dharmic Pillars, unfortunately a little bit on the edge. Does a little bit of damage, but instead Kumin and Zuman has the Horus heal. They're able to sit that out, heal up no problem. Moving up the backline, we do see Liner with the Beast Fear No Evil come out. Unfortunately, will get blown up, and did get the response of the Wild Hunt. Unfortunate, but in the response, he on the Nene, too far away from the team, will be killed by Mike. So a little bit of trading from both teams, and we did also see a Spirit Mortal King come out from Aza. Is low on range, unfortunately, so not able to do much there. Ben now currently taking the opposition zoning, will get Cheeto out of the fight. Earthshaker just about to connect. Kai will pick up the kill, but now we're seeing the power of level 90 triple coming out from this Sikkim. Almost takes Albi out, but will we use Aegis, and the Middle Phoenix will fall to Kumin and Zuman.
Ready for anything.
It's just changed so rapidly. I mean, I think about 10 minutes ago we saw like a 1k lead in favor of Hakai. Now it's 10,000 goals between Kumin and Zuman and Hakai. That is a flip of a switch if I've ever seen one. And I think that a lot of that goes towards like Kumin and Zuman are just using that Sobek, they're able to just get pretty much any objective that they can want.
Yeah, definitely. It's sort of just Hakai let Kumin and Zumin play the game they wanted to play, which was they getting these Sobek plucks and then just destroying anyone who gets plucked in. Whereas I think as long as that pluck's not getting value, then Hakai just do so much better in these fights. Like as I said before, if this Ganesh stands in front and just ohms, then I feel like these fights go a lot better for Hakai. Um, Obviously losing your mid Phoenix isn't the worst. It's manageable. You're gonna be able to step up to this next fire giant, which I think you sort of need to do, as it's gonna be EFG, and you're gonna have that really nice cure with the Omni monster on the Scylla. So I think Akai should be looking to get wards around this FG pit and get in position to defend it. Because if they're not defending now, then this game's just gonna get out of control, and it's gonna be an easy win for Kumin at this point.
Well, as the fire giant should be respawning very, very soon, and I believe that will just about correlate within time to be an enhanced fire giant, or it will just only be a few seconds short until it will turn into fire giant. So Hakai definitely, absolutely have to contest his fire giant. Shield already getting charge rate into the backline. No number present, forced to use shell, forced to use Dharmic pillars. He's already off his health, and he very likely may have to back off. But currently opting no, it will back out of the fight. I changed my statement. Criminalism now opting for a Pyromancer. Now they're aware that Tito has left the fight. They could very well start this Enhanced Fire Giant for themselves, and it looks like they are now starting to start that Enhanced Fire Giant. Great members are prowling, but also Mega is currently lurking in the back. No line of presence. Is aware of the competitor. Wild comes though, coming out from the Sentinels. Will connect with the big job. Blaze of Retribution used by Michael. Will not connect up to anyone. Aether currently being left in the back to start against the Silvers. As using the entire kit. Meanwhile, Mike is just getting bombed with an Earth Shaker and a Magma Bomb and will fall. That is a 4-man wipe for Kumin and Zumin, and now Forest to the skies.
I think that's gonna be the end. Yeah, they're just going Titan.
Going straight past Cheeto, going straight past, ignoring all the objectives. We'll just opt to take away the game one. That was a flip. That was just a switch for Kumin and Zumin. Cheeto does use the Dharmic Balance to try and defend and will cost his life for it, but there's 4 members alive. That is unfortunately just going to be game, and that is going to be game one for Kumin and Zumin.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. I was expecting a bit of a closer game between these two sides, but I think Hakai sort of just let Kumin do what they want for no apparent reason. As I said before, this Sobek was getting away with murder. Like he was literally just zoning off 3 of them on his own. He really shouldn't be in a position to do that, especially when it was so close at the time. I think Hakai just needs to be able to pick off people who aren't in the right position. And just not let them do that, because before that they were looking really good and they're having really nice fights. But yeah, they
Yeah,
were
I mean,
they were either overstepping or just understepping. Like they weren't putting enough pressure on. Well, they were pressuring too
before
hard.
before it head into like the team fight phase where like Kumin and Zumin had like complete control dominance and zoning with their Sobek, it was like everything that Hakai were doing were absolutely the right plays. They were making the right plays. They were making the right decisions on heading towards things such as going towards focusing Albie because if his beads are down, taking where they can, trying to get the picks so they can look for an early Gold Fury. And the team fights, the early tier team fights they had were good, like, but unfortunately they were just cut really, really short by taking away, by unfortunately just blindsiding and forcing themselves into those chokehold points and just costing their lives, which eventually would mean that they would just lose the opposition advantage that they had, and that would mean they would have to surrender objectives to Kumin and Zumin, especially they didn't, especially and then when they got to that Sobek, they got the Sobek. He could zone the entire team because if one member got plucked, Kumin and Zumin can easily make that call, and then they can just there we go. That member that's been blocked, it's been deleted. It's done for, and not really anything favorable. But
Yeah,
I think if you want to go into game two, there's nothing in particular that really stood out for me. I think all players of Kumin and Zumin played very, really well. And a lot of members in Hakai also played really well, but you got you what you have to take away from that is that you can't let one support character that has a one movement type ability with all the safety and setup allow them to just control the way that they did in the game.
Yeah,
They have
I'd
they
agree
have
with
to
that.
make they have to take those decisions where it's just if there's one player zoning, just take that player out and then make that opposition to move up, or just try and ignore that and try to build around going around and or trying to do anything else at that point. Just take a line of Humbats and the Azuka Cullen, like take them around away from the Zobek so Kuman and Zuman aren't aware and take that opposition and then take that fight. Because
Uh,
then Kuman and Zuman are boxed in, they're taking that disadvantage. They're in that disadvantage point.
I mean,
Don't let one person.
even if that Ganesh or Kikalan was getting thrown in, then the fight shouldn't have even been that bad for Hakai, because Line will be able to come in with big fear, no evil. Everything's been dropped onto whoever's just been plugged in, and if it's one of the tanks, they're probably going to live through it. But yeah, they just weren't punishing the Sobek, who was just stood in front of all of them and not taking any damage at all. Like it wasn't like they were putting damage on him and he's just too tanky. Like they weren't doing anything to this man. It was just a bit crazy. And I think going into game two, I don't think the draft was even bad from them. The only thing I'd ban away is maybe the Vulcan, just because he's putting up insane damage numbers, and force him onto something else and see if he can put up the same performance. But if they can come up with something to counter it, then that's fine. But I think that's the only thing I'd be banning going into game two.
Yep. All right. Well, as we wait for game two, we shall head into a short break. So we shall see you guys when we are ready for game two.
I'm so lost. Try my best to stay, but now I'm gone. It's almost as you said. Wish I could come undone. See me walking on a thread. It's only just begun. I'm so lost. Try my best to stay, but now I'm gone. Almost like you said, wish I could come undone. It has only just begun. I'm so fucking lost. Try my best to stay, but now I'm gone. Where did I go wrong? Wish I got some directions. Just my life fit right into my expectations. Damn, I'm so fucking lost. Bloody hands on my knees, swinging till I'm useless. Won't give a fuck about you leaving your dumb ass toothless. Man, I feel bad for you, your family too. You barely recognizable after I'm done with you. Throwing hands, you didn't stand a chance. You quite a laugh, alright, let's get to dancing. But you ran off, all I did was give you a glance. What a waste of time, what a damn shame, really. Leaving your body in the dirt, yeah. Trying to escape my hate, be glad that I'm human, or else I would've killed ya in that cold blood. My hate and rage, calmly lighting every candle on the way to your front door. Bloody hands on my knees, twice swing till I'm useless. Won't give a fuck about you leaving your dumbass toothless. Man, I feel bad for you, but at this point you deserve everything that comes your way. So stay away, unless you want to die.
Alright, hello everyone. We were actually talking while we were doing this. It's just unfortunately a little bit of production. Hello, welcome back to game 2. We were discussing we did see normal bans coming out from both sides. Hakai did
Our
opt to
deeds
target ban
shall
the
be
Vulcan away,
written
which
in
I don't
legend.
think the Vulcan was a threat. It was a strong presence. But I think that was just more Akun and Zumin able to synergize with each other and being very strong as a team. But I can understand Vulcan's still a very strong pick, so I can understand why they want to take it away. Kumin and Zumin were leaving me hanging with the third ban, but they now eventually have banned Hades. Hakai opting to first pick Guan Yu, very understandable, and Kumin and Zumin currently hovering Ishtar.
Yeah, obviously Guan really good in that solo lane, especially going into the mid game fight. It's very good to get that healing off.
Crack and fall.
And
They will
something
all
that we do usually
obey
see to
their
opt the
goddess.
counterpick towards Guan Yu Cthulhu, understandable. But sometimes the Guan Yu Cthulhu matchup can be very swayed. I feel like, yeah, Cthulhu is a very optimal counterpick for Guan Yu. Cthulhu is never going to die to Guan Yu and can always continue to cancel Taolu Assault, but at the same time, is Cthulhu really going to be able to output as much as Guan Yu can do? Like, I feel like that's dependent on the players, really.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think Guan Yu is sort of a bit more flexible in what he can do. Obviously, he can provide that healing and he also provide that dive. Whereas Cthulhu is sort of he wants to just continue the dive. It's a bit harder for him to peel, whereas Guan Yu can peel for his teammates.
Well, I
So Kuman is even
mean, you say that, but I mean, within Madness Descent, you can peel for a teammate using the knockup. You can do the same as Guan Yu. You can also heal your teammates at the expense of your own.
You will regret
A
getting in
very
my
large health pool.
way.
You can heal for your teammates, and that's why I kind of also really like Fabless Soups on Cthulhu, because that surprises people that, yeah, Cthulhu does heal. He can heal his teammates, and you can even create Fabless team-wide Fabless group stock for your team.
I mean,
You
but
know,
Cthulhu has to get into his ult to do that, whereas Guan Yu it's just a normal ability, so it's a bit
that's also
more.
very true. But at the same time, Descent into Madness is also 20 seconds long. So even if he does have to be in the ult state in Descent into Madness to do that, that's still. Actually, no, I think it's been reduced to 20 seconds now at this point, hasn't it? It's like
Yeah, I was gonna say 20
16.
seconds. I'm fairly sure it's not that long.
I think I'm thinking of like Release Cthulhu when it did used to be 20 seconds. I think it's probably like more closer to 14 to 16 now. Somewhere around there. I'm sure it's fine. Okay, next round of picks coming out being Rama and
My
Ymir.
blood runs
Absolutely
cold.
just creating dual lane pressure as much as where as they can. Trying to combat a little bit of the pressure that the Ishtar have. And Kumin and Zumin, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Here comes the Beck.
I have confirmed it is 10 seconds, scaling up to 14 seconds on the Cthulhu ult.
Wow, I got nerfed a lot more. That's Release Cthulhu. And when it used to be 20 seconds, scaling up to 20 seconds. Ew.
I think
Madness.
I think it's a bit strange to pick this so back again, especially with Ymir on the other side. Obviously, Ymir able to wall off if someone gets plucked, unless it's himself, of course. But I think this Ymir has a lot more ability to sort of save people from getting these plucks off. And obviously, if Sobek's dashing in and you wall off the pluck, then he's also going to be walled off from his team, so you'll be able to punish his Sobek a lot more.
Second wave of bans coming up. Hakai from Kumin and Zumin still opting to target ban the Loki and keep it away from Lina. Poor Lina is not going to be able to play Loki in this set. Really unfortunate. And Baba Yaga being removed, as well as on Kai's side, taking away the Morrigan, something that's not really been played by Kai, but understandable because nothing can never go wrong with Morrigan Cthulhu composition. You just don't want to see it. And target banning the Sasano away from Omega. And currently on the side of Kumin and Zumin, currently hovering the new wall. That's
The sun has risen
but
once
it's
again.
changed to a bird.
I have seen the Ra Kai's Ra is a bit nasty. He's a bit like a bit of a sniper on that. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes into this game. Obviously,
Well,
normally it's
this is the first time we're seeing his Raw, but he's played 10 games of it today. So he's raring. He's cooked it up in the kitchen. He's ready. It's completed. It's served on a dinner. It's served on a pallet. It's ready to go. It's the Raw danger pick.
Indeed. I think into this Guan Yu though,
I'm
he
coming
doesn't really have
for
a way to get
you.
out. So if they're on the back foot or if they find themselves behind,
I
then
will
this Ra
vanquish
could
all evil from
just be
this
a
world.
bit of a weak point for the composition for Kumazuman. But obviously, if it's an even state, he has potential to do quite well on it.
Final picks coming out from Hakai being Thanatos and Yu Huang, and the more that Hakai have picked their picks, the Guan Yu, Ymir, Thanatos, the more that Raw is looking kind of pretty unsafe, but at the same time, can they match the oppression that Kumin and Zuman have with the Sobek, with the Cthulhu, and now currently hovering a Raven?
No god nor demon can defeat me.
Raven is locked in. That is a Raven for probably sped. Actually, I say that, but
Yeah, it
let's play
probably is.
Cthulhu. I'm trolling.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, it's
My
Cthulhu
brain's
Jungle,
blank.
surely.
Cthulhu Jungle will go hard. Why has no one played it yet?
Surely it must be amazing. Obviously
Absolutely would be.
this Ra should not have a good time this game. You may be able to wall him off. Thanatos should be able to just dunk on him and kill him. Guan Yu to just sort of stun him out, slow him. Like Yu Hong just able to get out of all of his abilities and just punish him. But we'll see. I'm sure Kyle will prove us wrong, but he shouldn't do well this game, is what I'm saying. Also, just a bit of a side note: which weirdo just put 17k down on Hakai?
Oh wow! Someone's willing to throw away a lot of channel points if at the same time, it creates a diversion that if Hakai do take this set away, if they do opt to focus that Raw and get everything ready, it could very well go in Hakai's favor. So if they do take away with that heavy amount of channel points, that will be a lot of channel points sunk from either members.
Yeah, people are looking to go big or go home.
I can respect that. I mean, this is a close. It's a close set. It's a close. We're coming closer and closer to the end of the finals and the bracket. Take big risks where you can. Take where you can go with those channel points, and if you bank it, hey, look, there's a VIP if you haven't already gotten it. No sponsor. Now, as we have transitioned into the game here, we do see, yeah, normal builds across the star. I've seen nothing that, so far, really anything to call out upon. Fed is, of course, going to opt for paying a breastplate against the Guan Yu, just to make sure that he doesn't get the sustain that he needs. And going for what will be a Pythagorean's Feast, which is very, very nice solo option for magical solo laners for sustain. Getting 10% CDR, getting 12% lifesteal. Nothing that can ever go wrong, and you'll be nice and healthy. You'll actually be able to pretty heavily trade a Guan Yu during his early game phase as well. So even if you can't currently cancel Tower Assault for what it is, and you won't be able to win that level 1,
You can cancel
level 2 and
Assault.
no. Well, you can with Sanity Break, but the likelihood that you're going to get enough stacks to be able to cancel a Tower Assault early game is very unlikely to happen.
You only have to hit him a couple times. Yeah, it obviously won't be the first wave Tower Assault that you cancel, but you might.
It won't be the first wave, but post
Putting out a
level
lot of
1,
damage
it will go towards the Cthulhu. But Fed is just currently focusing Aza, taking advantage of minions and taking advantage of the Tainted Steel and the Pythagorean piece that he has.
Yeah, see, there you
goes
go.
the first
Second
Sanity
one.
Break. Second Sanity Break does cancel the Tower Assault, and Aza currently hold up a lot of pressure. Omega currently looking at the level 2 cringe gang, but so is the Thanatos on the rise as well. Lina able to show face, and so that puts Omega on the back burner. We'll just take the totem. Fed just complete lane pressure for the moment. That is.
Yeah, I mean, it is a weird choice. I've just seen Guan Yu's actually built physical defense against the Cthulhu. I think I would have preferred to see him go into an early Fabulous Tubes, to be honest.
I think he probably thought it was the Raven, because, Sped usually does play Raven. Sped has played Cthulhu. So
Yeah, but then where does
it
it?
isn't
It
it
tells
isn't
him
out of
who's
his
playing
range.
what. It tells him in
Yeah.
the lobby who's playing the Cthulhu, so he should have known where that Cthulhu was going, unless he thought it really was Cthulhu or a Sobek jungle.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, but it definitely isn't really going to help them during the early game phases. It means they are taking a lot more damage from that Cthulhu, but at the same time, if they commit to it getting that breastplate, the cooldowns will be a lot more stronger. Even if you are taking a lot of damage from that Cthulhu, you can just trade it. You can opt to trade it with the cooldown and being able to continue to output Tower Assault with Rot Shred.
I mean,
So
you get
it wouldn't
10% cooldown
recommend
off
it.
the Fabulous tube, so it wouldn't have been a bad decision to go that route either.
Yeah, of course. It isn't bad to go down the Fable Search routes. You get 10% CDR, you get 60 magical procs. You do see Blink come out from Omega onto Aza, but unfortunately will not connecting, does not get the kill. Interestingly enough, though, not opting to go for the blue buff invade, as Aza
Yeah,
is currently forced
I
to
was wondering
back.
that as well. I thought he was going to go straight into that blue buff invade. Obviously, he's not looking too hot on the health. I think he could have just gone straight for it with the Cthulhu into.
Aza now using the teleport to go to the tier 2 tower, does head towards the blue buff, but does prioritize the wave, and that means, yeah, that was a really wasted opportunity for Kuman and Zoom in there. I think they already had Azer on the back. The Omega was very healthy. They could have. If Thanatos was still on the speed, Liner was still on the speed buff. They very well could have opted for a very safe blue buff invade, get it, burn it very quickly, get out, and then just go do your own blue buff and your own normal jungle rotation. That's a really missed opportunity for a potential solo snowball that they could have gone for.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with playing it safe.
Absolutely, and we do see a charge spray on the Cheeto here. Did use the ice wall already, so there is no safety, but not too much damage coming out. But we do see Alina on the rise. Here's the blink from the Thanatos. The Scythe has been used. The Soul Reap has also been used. Eon Nene, who did also use a shell, unfortunately will fall. First blood goes to Mike, and first blood goes to Hakai. We're just seeing the same effect. We're seeing that Hakai are just they're playing duo sides. They're taking they're taking where they can. They're getting what they need, and then they're able to pick up the kill. They're able to pick up a lead. We could see a complete deja vu of just the exact same thing, where Hakai are just doing everything perfectly through the duo side early game, but then it's gonna come to team fights, and it's just that's Sobek. It's just gonna be too oppressive.
Yeah, I mean, we could. It's all going to come down to what happens around these objectives. Obviously, Hakai a bit notorious now for not having a good objective play. So it will just come down to whether they clean that up this game or not. Because we saw last game they were doing well until that stage of the game.
Interestingly enough, we did see the Guan Yu after the teleport actually straying away from that breastplate and has gone straight into Fabulous Tubes as well. Granted that, of course, Mr. Clearing does give the 15 MP5 early game, so of course that will always be a good pickup for 400 gold. But whether we'll see, whether now that makes the choice of, do you want to commit to Fabulous Tubes or do you want to commit to that breastplate?
I think you have to commit
Either
to
paths
the
are a good
Fabulous.
choice, but definitely prioritize Fabulous Tubes.
Yeah, definitely. Especially if you're going to get ganked, then it's always going to be 2 magicals and 1 physical. So you get more value out of that. Those magical procs than you are out of physical procs right now.
And we do
Obviously, if
see
you've gone into it straight
similar,
away, then you'd already
we
have
do
those magical procs
see
online.
similar Scorpion rotations coming out from both teams, which is very good. Which means that Scorpion's currently being held up roughly about the same times as the same team. So both teams are holding their enhanced buffs at practically the exact same times, which, sometimes some teams don't really value the Scorpion. They don't really look at the Scorpion until a lot later into the game, which is something that is a little bit worrying, because that Scorpion can make or break an early gold difference. I'm gonna have to hold that, as Mike does get forced onto the Astral Strike. Astral Barrage does connect 2 shots, but will not fall, and Blades of Retribution used by Obi in the back. Now, we did see a hover death from Liner used onto Omega, was assumed into Albi, but Albi had already backed away using Jolt. Lands on Omega, finds a Scythe, and that's about as far as it goes. the Hakai take the current advantage and do get the Oracle, but now lurking below, here's Yi and Nene. Does get the charge play. Frost Breath used in response. Dragon, like, Celestial Flight will be also be used in response. Forced to beat the Shenhan Shadow Fist. And there's the searing pain from the Raw. Connects before even the dueling dragons can connect and say goodbye to Big Joe. And now Cheeto just being charged prayed into the entire team in a little bit out of position, forced to use Ice Shards for CC immunity, but will just fall. And now
Yeah.
Kuman and Zuman have flipped it already. The switch has already been flipped for Kuman and Zuman, and now they're on a 400 gold lead. But now Mike getting a little bit of aggressive onto Albi, but unaware that Omega and Yi are on the prowl and will be able to match a rotation. But still having the rolling assault, still having the beads, will be able to prevent Omega. Omega falling just a little bit low, having to use overhead kick to escape. But now plucked by Yi and the Mike plucked by Yi and the Nene. Will be met with the team. Omega does blink in, try and take the kill back. Helby unfortunately picks up the kill, and the shell was used by Yi and the Nene. So the switch has already been flipped. It's Hakai are kind of tunneling a little bit. I mean, especially Mike. He thought he was in a safe position to be able to aggro Albi and try and do as much damage as possible. But you know, Mike didn't have Astral Barrage available, which is so even as much damage as he could force on the Albi, it's never going to be enough to kill. And then on top of that, you don't. Unfortunately, you lack ward vision, so they're just gonna Zoom and are just gonna be able to make a nice slow rotation, be able to catch you out. It's
Yeah, I mean,
not really good.
going back to that mid fight, like where Joe gets plugged in, he instantly goes up into the air for I feel no reason because the Rod didn't use any abilities. He knew Big Joe was going to go into the air and literally just waited until we did it. And then when it came back down, Ra had the slow available, instantly puts out the one, and then when he's on his way out, Kai just came in with the snipes and killed him. It was a bit of an early whatever the escape's called, celestial flight, in my opinion.
Ike getting a little bit aggressive onto Albi, but will be met with an Omega in response. Astral Barrage is used to try and do as much damage as possible, but here comes the Blades of Retribution. Now, we're seeing an exact opposite of Game 1. We're now seeing that Kuman and Zuman are playing through the duo side, and they're just taking any aggression that they can get onto Mike, knowing that anything is what relics are down, and just taking advantage of him. Now Kuman and Zuman pulling an early goal Fury. Hakai just can't respond to this, and especially when the steering pin gets used for secure.
Yeah, definitely. I think either Hakai were aware of it and they just didn't want to step up, or they just didn't have any vision on it. And I can't really see any walls in that area, so I just think they weren't aware that that
They
Golf was
don't.
getting pulled.
Cheeto was for sure aware, but he was the only member available in the area that could respond to it.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
knowing that they have a Raw for secure, they can't really contest it. They kind of just have to let that Gold Fury go. They're not in a
yeah,
position at the moment to where they can contest a Gold Fury, especially with only one member being present, and that's the support.
yeah, but I mean, Hakai needs to make a call at one point to say we can't keep letting these go, otherwise it's just going to be a repeat of last game, and Kim are just going to run away with it. And by the time that they've noticed, they're going to be 10k down.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. Like you can't. You want to try and prevent a repeat of last game where you can, but it's like if you don't have members available, it's okay to let it go. I mean, we're currently seeing a 3 to 4k dip between fights. It's not too. It's not that Gold Fury is at the stage where it's not too detrimental yet. They can let it go. It'll be fine. If they need, they can set up for Pyromancer. They can just get ready to go. It's fine. They can let some objectives go every now and then. Celestial Charge Fray being used onto Big Joe here will be forced to use Celestial Flight out, but nothing coming out from Kuman and Zuman. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just
oh,
half in
that was
like
a hovering that was a hovering death from Liner who was looking like to engage in, but forced a hovering death onto the Scorpion. Mike now in a lot of struggle for currently sitting in the Astral Barrage, but now met with the Blades of Retribution, connects with the cripple, does not connect with the death. Here comes the Mystic Rush, and that's going to be Mike. But now on the other side, we are seeing Hakai starting off with Pyromancer. Do get the Pyromancer sped with a blink to send into Madness. But unfortunately, will not be able to pick up any kills, and we'll just put damage onto the other side. Meanwhile, though, in the middle lane, Big Joe forced to use Celestial Flight and Dueling Dragons by Big Joe. Omega able to avoid the Dueling Dragons, but unfortunately, having already used the overhead kick, does get rooted into tower by Big Joe, and the kill will go towards Big Joe. As we interestingly see here, I'll be making a speed buff rotation 12
Holy
minutes
no.
into the game.
I don't know what Cheetah's just done now. I feel like you use your freeze on Albi, you keep him there, and you wall him off because you had Thanatos and Rama coming there, and he just let him walk through. He's taking the speed buff now. He's taking the back jungle. Like he shouldn't be allowed to get out of there. Like you can put a slow on this man. Like I don't know. I feel like he could have done so much to keep Albi there, like stall for time, and then Liner comes in and just kills him, and you punish him for being there, but. I don't know. I feel like they're being allowed to do too much here.
That was a shark under the ground. I don't think that ground is water there, so we're gonna have to something sea life preservation. I don't know. I'm not a marine biologist, man. Someone should check up on that shark. Make sure he's okay.
What?
What?
What are you on about?
Check the shark out, man.
Oh, the Soviet skin.
One setup for a joke, and I can't even land it because you've not even paid attention. This is unreal. Not that I was going anywhere with that joke anyway, because I couldn't even think of anything, so that's why I did sea life preservation, shark under the ground. Yeah, whatever.
Moment's
There's
gone.
it's beyond gone at this point. It's unrecoverable.
You see Raven going up for a gank on the left lane again.
And we do see a Blaze of Retribution coming out from Albi. Unfortunately, it does not connect. Mike, already using Rolling Assault, does use the Astral Barrage, tries to get a little bit of damage off, but you're not getting away from Omega, unfortunately, and Albi will pick up the kill. As now, Gold Fury just about coming up for Only Fury coming up for respawn. Bed, very aware of this, does make a rotation into mid, but so does Aza. But once again, Hakai are not in that position to contest that Gold Fury. They very well could with that Guan Yu, and they are aware that all members are currently in position for this Gold Only Fury. Will start it up. Aza just already being met with a position from both the Cthulhu and the Raven. Cheetah has now stepped up. Here comes the Ice Shards. There goes the Searing of Pain to secure the Gold Fury. And now Sped descend into madness, able to just absolutely disrupt. Cheetah will fall in the backline. Meanwhile, Hovering Death unfortunately does not connect. Aza will unfortunately fall. And so did Lina. 3 down against Hakai towards Kumin and Zumin. Nothing being able to met. Tariq still only 4k down, which is very nice, but only going to continue to get worse. And now Big Joe currently being pinned in, as he's now having to look at Omega, but then Kai can just walk up and deal a bunch of damage. Celestial Flight coming out. We'll just keep him safe though. And now, realistically, Kumin and Zumin very well set up for a Fire Giant pick if they wanted to. They do have Oni Waves currently pushing down all lanes. The only thing they have to be interested in is Arama, who is currently pushing the right tier 1 tower, and it does seem like they haven't made that call. Mike, very, very much out of position, will now meet all members of Kumin and Zumin. I'm not sure really what any call was made for Mike to try and split push that tower where he could. I mean, it took Kumin and Zumin off the Fire Giant. I'll give it that one. But
I don't know why he just didn't run back. I know you had the Raven and the Cthulhu coming up. You also had the Guan, he could heal you, and the Guan had the ult available to sort of slow them. Sun. I think just running back was the best call, but I don't know. he caught between a rock and a hard place, and he decided, oh no, I'm gonna die where I am.
He was pretty boxed in. That was for sure. I can understand. You know, even if he would rolling soul away, he would just get plugged back in, or he would meet Omega and bait. But I'm just not really sure if I agree with the decision to just commit your life away for that tier 1 tower. I mean, that's 75 gold. That's great. You're giving that amount of gold to your team, but yeah, you took them off of the fire giant, which means that you're delaying them from getting the fire giant. But is that really worth it?
I mean, he's died 5 times. Why not in for a penny, in for a pound? So.
Well, yeah,
I
you
don't
can
know. I
only go
feel like
from
wards could change this game for Hakai. Buying one of them would be a 100% improvement right now, because I see none on the map.
Regs to riches certainly is a thing, and ward coverage definitely very much is a thing. I mean, we're seeing on this side of the map, we're seeing a lot of ward coverage come out of Kumin and Zumin. We're even seeing a ward on this minus speed buff.
So they are going to be very aware if they come to defend this fire giant or pyro, and unfortunately, Hakai aren't really aware if their backs are up at this point. Like,
Kumin and Zumin just have absolute lane control. Of course, Aza is very much aware, even with no ward vision, that they are on the fire giant, but no members of Hakai. They're very rare if any members of Hakai step up. And currently at the moment, that's just a. Actually, speaking of, here's a hovering death from Lina. Already lost half of her health. There goes the Blaze of Retribution. There goes this Ascendant Madness. And Omega blinking in the back. Dueling Dragons in the back. Meanwhile, on the Cheeto. Cheeto will slowly fall. But Kai in a little bit of trouble from Aza. Did get the cavalry charge used onto him. And did use the beads in response. But the team able to just peel for Kai, and he will get out alive. Aina currently lurking in the back, very far away from the team, just to try and get away. Or maybe hide in the fog and keep a little bit of peeking. As Joe forced to use Bees and Aegis as the oppression of Kumin and Zumin is too strong for him. Aina has instead decided to opt to back. And now Kumin and Zumin in position to start that fire giant. No, 4 members of Hakai are alive, and they very much are well aware that they have started that fire giant up again. But
I feel
are
like
they willing to step up?
I feel like Kumin are in position to throw here because their tanks are getting very low. I think if Line does have the ult.
Kumin and Zumin do get the fire giant. However, Yin Lane is just falling too low. Alino will find the hovering death execute, but will be met with death in response. A swift death response to that. Unfortunate for the god of death, being dealt as swiftly of a death as you would deliver to one to your foes. You could say that's a Romeo and Juliet situation, right?
You could. I wouldn't, but you could.
Wait, no, I've gotten Romeo and Juliet mixed up because poison. Right? No. I mean, look. Either way, both of them take their lives, like for one and another. Lina took away Yeet's life, and in return, she cost her own life. Like, it's close enough of a metaphor. We can work with it. Kumin and Zumin just taking another Gold Fury. What's new news?
Nothing else new. I think Mike's going to a Seal branch with this build. I think normally there'd be like an Odyssey bow here. Obviously getting a lot of damage off in those team fights, the oboe procs. Seal branch definitely not a bad item, but I think I'd prefer to see the oboe first.
We do see a little bit of a pause coming out from the team, so we will cut into a short break until we do return. All right, and we have returned to the game. The game has been on pause, so what about Odysseus Bow were you mentioning? Pew pew?
I was saying I'd like to have seen it a bit earlier rather than this Silver Branch. I think Silver Branch probably would have been last in my build, but yes, it's preferences.
Yeah, I mean, you can scale, you can choose favorably how you want. Do you want the 40% attack speed early, or do you want that percent pen? I think with the way the fights are going, I think I definitely would rather prefer the percent pen over the attack speed right now. As much as the attack speed is desirable, Rama does have infinite arrows available to give him that attack speed stim, so he can lose not having the Odysseus bow for now, just to opt him for the percentage pen, just so he can shred through the tanks a little bit better. Human and Zoom and currently opting for a mid tower seed. Do take away the tier 2 tower, but it seems like for the moment they're just opting to strip the towers. Now looking at left tier 2 tower. But actually looking for a liner that's out of position. There goes the Blades of Retribution. Lino forced to use the beads to get out of the engagement. Human and Zoom now looking for the tier 2 tower. As Omega currently giving way to that Trebuchet to take that tier 2 tower. This is a 5v4 right now, and I think Hakai, even though they are at a level disadvantage, they very well could look for a very good Phoenix siege defense here. One member not being present, currently pushing the tier 2 tower,
Yeah,
they
I'm
could they could
to
definitely look for
stand
something.
here and Ravana will pressure out this right Phoenix. I mean, who are you going to send over there? Because currently Phantos is 3 levels below, so they do send the
Oh,
Quan.
they have sent the Guan Yu over to contest that Phoenix, but it seems like Omega are just going to be able to get that Phoenix. And now on this side, Sped coming through with the blink, descending to madness. Mike will use the Astral Broadcast spots. Here comes a Hovering Death. Here comes a Shell. Albie a little bit low. He perfectly times the beads and Aegis to catch out Lina. And Lina will now fall to Kai as Albie walks away, but will reinitiate using the raw heals, the Solar Blessing. And now they're just continuing that opposition. Here comes the Lurking Waters. Here comes Mike being charged, plucked into the team. Gets hit by the Solar Beam. And now Cheeto currently stucking in Ice Shards. The Phoenix has already fallen, so Cheeto will just quickly fall. And now damage is just too strong. Big Joe using beads and Aegis, and now Hakai just takes the fight away. They don't even need. They didn't even. Omega just did what he needed to do. Take Azra away from the team fight for them. They can just aggress, and now they can just commit onto the Titan. Albi already used Blades of Retribution. Did not connect with Aza. They will take away Asa just before they end the game, steering Pain onto the Titan, and that is a 2-0 for Kuman and Zuman.
Yeah, very very dominant display from Cuban Zoom, and I didn't ever feel like Hakai really had much impact on that game. I mean, Thanatos put on the damage charts. It's not a good look. I think they had a good first 5 minutes, and after that, it just completely started falling apart for Hakai. Once they get around those objectives, they just turn into I don't know, a really weak version of themselves, and it's unfortunate to see, but that's the part of the gameplay that they need to clear up because it's always around these objectives. Like you look apart at their last few games, it's also around the objectives there. Like either they aren't securing it or they're just not taking the fights in the quote unquote correct way. They're just not playing the comp that they're picking.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. Like I always see that Hakai are always they always seem to do well in the early game. They're always able to keep up in their lane phase. Fortunately, we did see the switch flip for game two, and so it more so Omega was very much able to play through Albi on the duo lane and just punish Mike a lot more. Kind of similar to what they did to them in game one. So it's really unfortunate to see how things turned out in that way, and yeah, it unfortunately did not look good for Hakai, and what I thought was going to be a really close set ended up being a lot further away than I thought in all reality.
Yeah, I agree with that one. I thought it was going to be a lot closer set than that. I think Hakai have some individually they have some really good players on their team, but it just seemed like it's clicking going into those team fights.
This is really unfortunate, especially seeing Thanatos with 3k damage. That for a character such as Thanatos that really heavily relies on early game pressure and keeping a lead, I know Senator struggles a lot in the later game, being able to engage or take away picks with Hothering Death, but it it's not something that's really favorable, and it is really unfortunate that it did go that way. Unfortunately.
Yeah. So Kuma will go on to the semi-finals, and they'll be playing against whoever wins on the other side of the bracket, which will be Pingdiff versus the winner of P2 versus Kinkai's.
You could. Oh, but I can't see the Kuman channel.
Breathing underwater, can't let you go now. Making it so hard. You got to know now. Ooh, taking it too far. Nothing to hold now. I'm falling apart. Out in the cold now. Breathing underwater now. I can't